Hello, I'm Doug Cofiell, CEO of Ivystone. I'm here today at Bachman's, an incredible retailer in Minneapolis, Minnesota, one of the best in the country. They were so kind to let us come in this morning and talk to you all. The inventory situation across the industry has been tough since really last fall. As we approach this fall season, it's going to be even more difficult than it's been in the past. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we know that several of our vendors are challenged at the ports, both in the importing side and then domestically on the transit from various shipping docks all the way down to warehouse work. Every aspect of shipping this year is going to be a little more difficult than normal. Our retailers around the country are doing very well. You know, it's obviously great to have everybody doing so well, but it's resulted in pressure on the top vendors to produce at a higher level and to really deliver. And the important thing is to stay really on top of it and understand, talk to your rep as much as possible, or talk to your favorite person at that company that you're waiting on. They'll have the information, but don't be shocked if some things are not on time and some things are really just not available at all. And you gotta have a backup plan. Vendors in our industry have been a little bit behind really since COVID started in March or so of last year. It caused the entire supply chain around the world to really struggle. And there's all different factors playing into this that are causing problems. It's everything from the actual production all the way down to goods sitting in various warehouses where they can't find a truck to get it out. It's a progression of things that just kind of multiplied on itself and got a little worse. We know companies that really planned way far out. They were ordering all their 2021 holiday last year in 2020, and they're still a little bit behind. Even the best plans are getting a little wrench in it. So, you know, the best thing we can do is not take it out on them. We know it's not from them, making a mistake. It's just literally the way the situation is right now. But have a backup plan, order differently, and just be ready. We know that there's been a lot of issues this year with late surcharges and additions to shipping costs and all those kinds of factors. I think most of you have probably heard this by this point, but container prices have gone from, an average of $3,000 to $30,000, and we hope it'll stabilize soon, but you can't really factor that into your pricing because none of our vendors really think it's a permanent structure. So what they're trying to do with the surcharges is trying to say this is a temporary charge. But we know it's really tough on you, like setting your retail prices and trying to figure out how that's going to affect business. We always want your feedback. If it's a smaller charge, we're not hearing as much, but we are hearing quite a bit about the larger surcharges, and we know it can be really difficult. So don't be afraid to reach out to us and see what we can do to help. At this point, we don't really see a slowdown as we're going into this season, and we don't expect 2022 to be slower either. So, all the long-term trends are good, so it's important to just make sure you have backup plans on all your major vendors. If their top sellers sell out, that if it's a reliable vendor, you go deeper into that vendor to find the next item, and don't be afraid to sub it out. The other thing is to have multiple resources in each category that you can call on, find out what their inventory situation looks like. It's important to not just be prepped for this fall and holiday, but you really need to prep for the start of the year as well. Don't be afraid to do an everyday order from the same vendor that you bought holiday from. Find those things that are kind of in between and they're okay carrying over into January. Order heavier on those things that can carry over into the spring and get those items on order. And if you can bring them in December, and you happen to get those goods versus something else, it gives you another backup plan. The top vendors generally provide pretty good information on stock status. It obviously changes really quickly at this time of year when the shipments are very heavy, so the best thing to do is stay in touch with your rep, or your contact at that specific vendor to get a latest stock status. They're not gospels, right? So at this time of year when so many goods are moving out the door, they're bringing in containers, they're moving them out as fast as they can. So those statuses will change really fast at this time of year, but just your most reliable person, we hope it's one of our salespeople, but if you have a great contact at the vendor directly, try to get an updated list of what's available. And again, don't be afraid to go deeper down in the SKU count on the really reliable vendors, because some of the best items could be out this year. Reps in the field have a pretty good understanding of what's going on, because they see a variety of retailers and they see people that ordered at different times, and they kind of know what's coming in, what's moving early. So the rep tends to have a pretty good feel for the important things to emphasize in the store for fall holiday, and as well as they'll have experience on who normally has everyday goods towards the end of the year and ready for January. All those things are a great thing to rely on your rep for. Because they can give you kind of their own backup plan of how their business has worked over time. They've seen different things in different areas of the territory, and they see all those things day to day. We expect that 2021 will be strong, and that 2022 will book out pretty nicely, as in the overall business, the overall industry, and probably the overall economy is going to do pretty well. We expect the supply chain to still be difficult all during 2022, at least for the foreseeable future. Like most of the stuff we're seeing out there, our vendors are concerned about inventories even next year. We've spent a lot of time on this, and we've helped people project out for next fall and holiday. Believe it or not, there's a lot of goods that are already on order for next year fall holiday. So the best of the vendors, they're really thinking ahead. But part of the reason they're thinking ahead is because there's going to be supply chain issues in 2022. So it's something you're going to have to get used to, and it's not just going to be for this season. It's going to be for a few. Learn to make the adjustments. Maybe take some notes. Remember what you did well, what you didn't do well. This is one of those retail years where you're going to want to mark down what happened in 2021 and be able to reference it back in the future when these kind of things happen again. We know that 2021's been a difficult year. There's been a lot of learnings, and we hope that we've done enough to help you. If we haven't, we ask you to reach out and tell us what we can do to improve. And we hope that your business is great and that you have a fantastic year.